Hey guys, I'm back and I'm here to do one last video before the end of 2024. So I am going to show you my journal that I set up, my reading journal for 2025. Now, just to show you that things aren't always perfect over here at Brown Girl Reading, I too have my slack off days, and my journal for 2024 goes partially, look at that. I didn't write anything in my index. I did finish this challenge, but did not finish filling out all the words. Yeah, so you can see this is pretty much how my setup was for my books, but it is unfinished. So as you can see, I slack off, but this year in 2025, I have decided to make it happen. So this is my journal for 2025. So this journal is an Odyssey journal. I'm going to put a picture so you can see. This is a journal that when I bought it, it was a journal of 496 pages. It's an A5, so 148 by 202. It is 68 GSM Tomy River paper, and you see it's written there, Odyssey Notebooks. And it is a 5mm dot grid. So I purchased it last year, didn't use it, so I'm using it this year. It was red, and you can kind of see a little bit peeking out, but I decided to cover it because I didn't want red anymore. So I covered it with some of my special paper that I use to do my junk journals, added the title, add a little sticker, and here we are. So when we open up, we're going to have my bookshelves here where I'm going to be writing all of my books down. And I think here we have, I think it's 86 books on these shelves. So yeah, if I really need to add more, I can always put another one here on this back page, because this back page, I didn't put anything on it on purpose. So my first page are my goals, which you can't see that until tomorrow, because tomorrow is January the 1st. And I have put this here to add a little bit of decoration. It looks like a little bookshelf, old books, everything I love. So next we have the index, and this is where I will fill in the proper page and what is on that page so that I can flip to it very quickly. The next page we have is my daily reading challenge. So this is the idea that I'm going to be reading every day, even if it's just 20 pages. So I will be keeping track of that here. I will color in the green rectangle. If I read 50 pages or less, it'll be green. 50 to 100 pages will be blue. And 100 pages plus will be pink. And so at the end of the year, we should be able to see a little bit of how I did. And of course, if I don't read any pages at all, it will be blank. All right. The next one I have is my book recommendations. And this is where I put, books that people recommend to me, and I try to put their name next to it. For the moment, I have Tatiana and The Good House, which is happening in 2025. So she's the first one on there. Now, as the days go on, maybe other people recommend things to me. And if they do, and I remember, I'll put it here, the title, and I will put their name. And if I read it, I will fill it in. All right, next, this is my book acquisitions. So this is any book that I get, whether it be from a publisher, from a friend, or that I buy, will be written here, and I will write next to it how it was acquired. That's why it's acquisitions. Okay? It's not necessarily everything I buy. Now, the idea is to keep track of exactly what is going on in 2025 with my acquisitions. Am I just buying books like crazy? or, you know, what's happening. People giving me stuff. So more on that later. All right, these next couple of pages are series. So these are the series that I've been working on. I think there's maybe one more I need to put here that isn't here. So we have the Easy Rollins series, which I need to get back on because, you know, here, you know, I stopped here at A Little Yellow Dog. I need to get on that. And I think there are more to this series. This is all that I know about, but I think there are more books. I think there's 3 more. Of course, this Blanche White series. Absolutely love Blanche White. Will be very sad to read this last one in 2025 because there are no other books by this author, Barbara Neely. Okay, this one, Nervous Conditions. I read this, I think it was 2 years ago, and discussed it with Christy on the podcast. We thoroughly enjoyed Nervous Conditions, and I need to continue this series with the Book of Nod and This Mortal Body. So that's a plan. And then, of course, this is another plan, the Cairo trilogy, Palace Walk, Palace of Desire, and Sugar Street. But I will be rereading past Palace Walk so that I can get into the groove and remember things, because it's been a long time since I read Palace Walk. So those are the series that I'm going to be focusing on. And if I can think of the other one, I'll be putting it there. Okay, so the next here is this page is my big books. So I usually try to read 10 books over 400 pages. I know some people they say 500 pages plus, but I do 400 pages plus because I feel like the majority of the books that I read are somewhere around 350 or less. So for me, 400 pages would be considered a big book. So this is where I will be putting those. Now, if I go over that, then good for me. You know, good for me. There's plenty of room if I go over that. All right, next we have reading my shelves, and that is what I would like to do this year. So I have 3 pages here, 4 pages actually, so that I can write all of the books that I read that are from my shelves. They will be put here. I decided not to make a list of my own. I decided to leave that open because I am very much a mood reader. And so I much rather prefer going to the shelf and picking the book myself and then just recording it here so that I know that this is, you know, this is what I read. All right. Now, next we have all my reading challenges. So these have been partially pre-glued in. So we have 20 books by Black women. So when I'm finished, I will be putting the pictures of the books in these beautiful little frames. And there are 20 of them, as you can see. A little bit of book decoration because, yeah, you need a little bit, some beauty in there. So I found this in, I think it was in, I want to say this was in the Flow magazine. I found this. So I decided to put that in. Then I have my Reading the World. I always try to sort of track to see how many different countries I can get to within the year. It's nothing organized or anything. I just, read. And then if I realize, oh, that book was from, I don't know, from Brazil, then, I'm happy to color in Brazil. And if I have room here, I will put the book along the sides of the free space. So this is always really interesting to see how I do. Some years I do really, really well and others a little less. Okay, now this is the Something Bookish Challenge. This one right here has been really difficult for me because I will start the year and be thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to read this, I'm going to read that. This year, I'm not really trying to choose in advance like I have been in the past, because I feel like when I choose in advance, it works against me and I wind up reading less and less. So what I've done is I've just read these prompts and I familiarized myself with them. And I have looked on my shelves and I see what I have. And I know I have something to fit every prompt except maybe one. And the one I had to get somebody to give me an idea because I don't read romance like that, which is a romance with a female lead over 35 years old. PETA helped me out. She came to my rescue and gave me a title. So I will be listening to this on Everand, so I don't have to buy it. I can just listen to it. So there was this one, and I think I have something for everything else. So it's just going to be a matter of me, the beginning of the month, looking at the grid and seeing if anything that I'm already planning on reading fits in. If it does, good for me. Then what I'll do is I'll take a picture of it, and all the pictures will be here. So there'll be 4 pictures across, and then there'll be 6 down, and I'll make like a little square. So hopefully this year I want 100%, at least 80% of this done, because I don't know why I can't get this one done. I want at least 80% done because my God. All right, so my spotlight authors. So my first spotlight author is William Melvin Kelly. So these 2 pages I've taken to write some things about him that I didn't know, and just to have, that kind of information about him. And then here I will be putting the books that I read with pictures. My next spotlighted author is going to be Ann Petrie. So I still have to write my 2 pages of info on her. And then I have these 2 pages to put her books in picture, and I have some other ideas for that. So next we go to book clubs. So as you know, I run the Read So Lit book club over on Patreon. And so I will be doing a similar thing with the frames. I will be framing up all 10 books that we're reading in 2025. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know, but 2025 makes 5 years of the existence of the Read So Lit book club, which I'm pretty proud of. And I really, really appreciate and thank all the people who have come over and joined us over on Patreon, even if it was just for a month or 2. I really, really appreciate it. So that's where I'll be putting all of those. And then I have my Normandy book club that I run here in Normandy where I live. And we read 7 books. So that's why these are turned this way, because I just wanted to use 2 pages. So I will be putting those picks in here. And actually, we have already read 2. So I need to fill these 2 spaces. We have read The Penitent and The Covenant of Water so far. All right, next we have my annual stats. Now this page has not been prepared just yet, but it's going to be the months of the year along this side right here. And then across here, you're going to have different things. So for example, you're going to have physical copies, audio, ebook, page count. What else? There's going to be a bunch of stuff up here. And that's going to be across here. And then I'll be able to go and say January, okay, this is how I did with this. So that's a page that will be filled out as the year goes on. But of course, I have to set it up. So that's that. All right. Now, this is a page that I added in my book. I've never had this in here before in my reading journal, but I kind of like this idea, which is new words. So whenever I'm reading, if I run into new words or new expressions, I want to be able to come here and write that down. Because I think it's, that's one of the things about reading is that we do learn new words and new expressions. So it's better, I think, for me to start keeping track of all that. So I have 2 pages there for that. 1, 2, 3 pages for that. Then we have my books and notes. So from here on, this is where I'm going to be writing each month. And then I'm going to have the book, a picture, and some active notes that I have been keeping on that particular book that I'm reading. So we have this, and here we're going to have my TBR. So I'll write all of the books that I plan on reading in January, and I will color the square every time I finish them, but I'm going to put other things on here as well. I haven't quite decided what that's going to be, but I know I'm going to have 1 or 2 other things on here before as the header page, for January. So that's that. And then from there on, you will see, the layout with a picture, the book, picture of the book. You'll see the author, the title, the page count. You'll see the publishing date and the edition. And then afterwards, you'll see all of the notes that I took while I was reading. Now, this is something that I did in some of my past journals where I took a lot of notes while I was reading. And I really like doing that because that really does it does go with the way I process my reading. Is I'll have these, pages of notes written about the books that I'm reading. So this is like this is like an older journal. So here's how I did this one. I had the TBR, and then I had like different things. This is like what I was watching. This is gratitude. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to see what I'm going to do. I used to put in a grid. I'm not doing that because I don't care about that. This is another thing I used to do, is put like a currently reading. And then what I would do is every day that I would read, I would put how many pages I read for the first day. And then I would put the page I was on the next day, the page I was on the next day, the page. That way I could see how many days it took me, how many sittings it took me to read Daughters of the Stone. And this one, you can see it took me 6 days to read 316 pages. Here I had a DNF. Here I was listening to Dispossession. It was 57 minutes, and I listened to it on audio, so I don't have anything there. Here I read In the Palace of Flowers. It took me 3 days to read the 315 pages. So this is something I used to do, help me out with that. It helped me visualize how much I was really reading. And then here you have a perfect example of me taking some notes under, that was a bit longer, taking notes under the different books that I had read. So that's like an older one. But I will probably be doing something very similar in this one. But I think my notes will be, I was really considering doing this, but I'm not doing it. But you will see my notes hopefully will be, very, very extensive, more extensive than they have been in the past. And that's really what I want, because I want things like, favorite quotes, and then I want pivotal moments in the book, memorable characters written down, maybe things that I hated about the book or things I really loved about the book. So I'm going to have a lot of extensive writing like that, which is what I like to look back on as a memory, as a keepsake. So this is the book. It's probably going to be a little bit dirty here, but I don't really care. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this journal. Let me know if you're doing a reading journal, and if you are doing one, have you finished it? I say if it's the first time you're doing a reading journal, keep it simple. Don't do too much. If you want to do the simplest, the one that I had done for this year, the one I've done for 2024, is a good place to start, where you do your reading goals, you make an index, you put a couple of challenges that you're doing, and then you put a page like this where you have read books. And then you just put squares. I was hoping to read more. I was hoping to read 70 books, but I only read 56 this year. But, you put however many squares of books that you're going to read. And then as you read, you color them in. Very simple. If you have other challenges, put those challenges. And then afterwards, you just put, your title page for January, and then you put a picture, you put your information, you put how many stars, and you write your info about the book. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else. There are people who do a lot of tracking. I mean, a lot of tracking. They're doing so much tracking. I don't know how much time they got to read because they track and everything. But I feel like If it's the first time, like I said, keep it simple. Don't do too much because you'll wind up failing and not being able to keep up with all the tracking you're doing. This year, I've kept my tracking down to, I think, a minimum, whereas previous years, I tracked a lot more stuff, and I thought it was hard going because if you're not good at doing it at the end of each month or at where every time you finish a book, go on there and, write your stuff, it becomes very difficult. So I, wish you guys luck with your reading journals if that's what you choose to do. Hope tonight you have a great 31st. Ring in that new year with your friends and family, and I'll see you guys in the new year. Bye.